NFTs and Web3 are about to spark a major rift in the tech community. And that's because now more than ever, crypto supporters are hell-bent on pumping the dream of a truly decentralized future of finance.
We have a price target in 2030 for Bitcoin of more than $1 million per Bitcoin.
I think the Bitcoin white paper is one of the most seminal works of computer science in the last 20, 30 years. It's poetry.
Non-fungible tokens are going to be a big part of all of your lives. I really believe that.
There's definitely an opportunity for something that is better from an information theory standpoint.
According to them, in this brave new world, governments will no longer have the power to devalue currencies by excessive printing of new money, which we saw play out in spades in 2020 when the United States printed 80% of its circulating fiat in only 2 short years. And at the same time, Web3 critics are completely dismantling the hype and exposing the ugly underbelly of crypto and dubbing the entire space an ecological nightmare pyramid scheme. That escalated quickly.
So I regard the whole business as antisocial, stupid, immoral.
You know, I agree. I would short it if there was an easy way to do it.
And what's more, both sides are convinced that they are 100% right. So, will buying NFTs and crypto leave you in financial ruin?
I am never going to financially recover from this.
Or will being an early adopter set you up as the next Slumdoge millionaire? I had to. Crypto has 3 fatal flaws that I think are going to prove to be its downfall in the war over Web3. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you exactly where I think this is all heading after talking with countless founders and hackers on Web3 projects. But before getting into the virtues of crypto, we need to have an honest conversation and clear the air on some pervasive misnomers about crypto as we know it. So in order to do that, let's back up a little bit. See, when Satoshi Nakamoto first invented Bitcoin, he named the idea an electronic cash system, which soon evolved into the term cryptocurrency, which we have all come to know and love. But fast forward 13 years and we now know
the lie detector determined that was a lie.
See, Bitcoin, or Ethereum for that matter, is neither a cash system nor is it a currency. And that's mostly because no one uses it to buy anything. This one's hiding in plain sight, but if you just think about it, out of your last 1,000 transactions, how many of those were denominated in crypto? If you're like most people, that number as a percentage probably rounds down to 0. So while crypto enthusiasts promise that mass adoption is right around the corner, I'm not holding my breath, because the idea of cryptocurrency, at least today, is largely a fiction. But some groups are making money hand over fist right now, and they're doing it by selling shovels. Let me explain. See, in the 1850s, there was a massive frenzy of folks moving out west to mine for gold with the hopes of getting rich. And tales of the few fortunate who did strike gold caught on like wildfire. And this kind of psychological climate creates a phenomenon called FOMO, or the fear of missing out. And because this emotion does not feel good, people try to quell that feeling by cashing in on this new opportunity and trying their luck. And we saw doctors, lawyers, they'd put their practice on hold just for the opportunity to pan for gold. And we now refer to this era as the California Gold Rush. Looking back though, the people who made the real money were the ones selling services like equipment and shovels. Rather than profiting on the gold itself, they actually found that the better opportunity was to sell people on the dream. So fast forward 150 years, and human psychology has not changed that much. Instead, today it's the NFT and crypto platforms that are really feeding into psychological factors like FOMO and selling services to capitalize on this crypto gold rush. And I want to show you a thought experiment to make it 100% clear how these providers are positioned to win while the miners and the traders are destined to fail. Imagine for a moment that Bruno and Emma both open accounts on Coinbase, and Emma deposits $100 USD into her account. Emma then proceeds to place a trade buying Bitcoin from Bruno. Because Coinbase takes a rake on these transactions, which is a small percentage of the total transaction as a fee, that amount accrues to Coinbase's wallet from Emma's wallet. Then imagine that Bruno makes a trade back to Emma, and this process repeats itself with Coinbase taking its fee. What we find over a long enough time horizon is that 100% of the wealth that Emma brought onto the platform will accrue to the exchange, leaving Bruno and Emma with nothing. And this is what people mean in gambling when they say the house always wins. But the problems don't stop there. Satoshi explicitly stated that one of the reasons for creating Bitcoin was to create a cash system that did not require intermediaries to conduct monetary transactions. In essence, he thought, let's cut out the middleman. And although you could argue Bitcoin did deliver on this core capability, it's still not what we see in practice today. Instead, with crypto, we see a financial system not too dissimilar from legacy banking, which is run largely by a handful of exchanges that hold the crypto on behalf of its users. And because ultimately the exchange has custody over the private key associated with its users' accounts, this means that they can limit trades, freeze assets, suspend trading, or just lose your funds due to error or negligence. Without being the sole steward of your private key, then in many ways we've just reverted back to the old system, which is highly centralized and does not carry any of the benefits of bypassing the middleman, which Satoshi originally sought to solve for. But honestly, everything I've mentioned so far is a bad joke compared to what I'm about to reveal. Let's talk NFTs. OpenSea, one of the largest NFT marketplaces, which is really poised to own most of the market, has a dirty little secret that few people seem to realize. See, when you go to their app and mint your NFT, depending on which options you use, it may look like you just instantiated your digital asset, but if you look under the hood, oftentimes, no NFT was actually created. Yes, you heard me right. That newly created file sitting in your OpenSea account may neither be on the blockchain nor be an NFT. And this process is called lazy minting. See, only when the asset is moved by being transferred or frozen does it actually create an entry on the blockchain. That means that there are probably millions of people out there who think they're holding NFTs when they're really just holding images on a website. But for the sake of this example, let's be charitable and assume that you gifted it to a friend, which means it created an entry on the blockchain. So the next question is, what did you actually send them when you sent them that JPEG cartoon of a penguin wearing a do-rag? And the answer is you created a 64-character entry on the blockchain that is now controlled by their wallet. And this does not include an image, a name, or any metadata. Now, these platforms do link the entries to metadata, and assuming the platform is still serving that metadata, then sure, you do have some information associated with your NFT. But that metadata is not permanent in the way the blockchain is permanent. And here's an actual example of what this looks like. So I want you to notice two things. The metadata, which is the read-friendly information about your NFT, is centralized on OpenSea, which means it can be altered, changed, or removed outright at any time. Next, the image itself is hosted on Google servers, which again means it can be changed, altered, or removed at any time. But I can already hear the masses hollering now,
"But Tim, I elected to store my NFT and metadata on IPFS. Therefore, it's permanent and can't be changed."
And for those that might not know, IPFS is the decentralized file storage that the more professional NFT collections use to store their data. And I hear what you're saying, but you're still wrong. Because here's the salient question. Sure, you might be using IPFS, but who is pinning your asset? You haven't heard of Pinata, the pinning service used by OpenSea to ensure that IPFS assets are actually available? Because the moment your pinning service stops pinning your asset, which does cost money by the way, there's no guarantee that your IPFS data is going to be retrievable. And this is because of a concept called garbage collection. No, I'm not calling your NFT garbage, even if it's a literal image of garbage, it's art. What I'm saying is that even the most advanced methods of minting NFTs are still subject to link rot, garbage collection, and general impermanence, which brings me right back to my original statement that your NFT is just a 64-character entry on the blockchain. But maybe you have faith that these platforms like OpenSea, Pinata, IPFS, they're not going anywhere, and therefore your NFTs are in good hands and there's nothing for you to worry about. Well, there's even more. See, the technology behind these networks, Ethereum, Bitcoin, is far from infallible, and exploits in the code bases can be used to steal money and really compromise the integrity of the entire network. Did you ever wonder why there's Ethereum and Ethereum Classic? Well, that's a direct result of the fact that in 2017, a bug in the code base enabled someone to steal 12 billion USD in Ethereum. This represented 5% of all the outstanding Ethereum. So for as much as we like to hate on fiat and traditional currency, this kind of maneuver is not even possible outside of crypto. In response to this hack, founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin and friends, made a unilateral decision to fork Ethereum and turn back the code base to erase the hack, which one could argue actually defies the entire premise of blockchains to begin with, but I'll let that one go. And it's not just Ethereum. Bitcoin has also been subject to what are called inflation bugs, which allowed users to mint infinite amounts of Bitcoin. The 5139 Bitcoin bug of 2010 resulted in the excessive printing of 184 billion new Bitcoin. Again, core developers had to roll back the blockchain in order to purge this event from the blockchain history. And just as recently as 2017, another inflation bug was found in the Bitcoin code base, and luckily it was disclosed to the core developers before it could be exploited. Could you imagine if such a bug was discovered with Bitcoin now? A single bad actor would have the power to nullify the entire market cap of Bitcoin in an instant. Okay, so I do have to recognize that there are two sides to every coin. Every Bitcoin, that is. I just painted a pretty grim picture about NFTs and Web3, but don't do anything drastic quite yet, because despite everything I just said, it's actually my personal conviction that crypto blockchains could replace the entire internet as we know it. I know, quite the flip-flop, but hear me out. See, this isn't an either-or problem. This is an exercise in separating the wheat from the chaff and understanding where the tangible new utility and value is to be found and what is just hype and gimmicks. And as is the case with most new tech, the early applications don't tend to be the ultimate applications. See, new technology often starts off as a novelty or a gimmick, but over time, if it's good, it finds product market fit through what we like to call in the space a killer app. A killer app is an application of a new technology of such great value and popularity that it ensures the success of the technology of which it's associated. See, for electricity, it was indoor lighting, which replaced dangerous kerosene lamps. For the internet, it was the web browser. For 3D printing, it's likely to be something like highly customized prosthetics for medical patients. And I think we can safely say that Bitcoin has settled on its utility as a store of value or a digital version of gold. But it's my belief that some of the newer technologies like DAOs, smart contracts, NFTs, they're kind of still at the gimmick stage and searching for their killer app. Another reason to believe that crypto could be the future of finance is because ultimately, the future of finance will be what we build. And if we follow where the engineering talent is flocking to, not to mention the VC dollars, it's fairly clear that sizable investments of fiscal and human capital are currently pouring into crypto-related projects. This chart shows the rise in blockchain-related projects within the VC community over the last decade. Additionally, mature, successful companies like Stripe are also investing in crypto-related initiatives. So where talent and money flows is likely to serve as a leading indicator of what the consumers are going to see in the coming years. Crypto has the power to introduce a trustless financial system. But is this valuable? See, in legacy financial systems, we're required to trust the stewards of our funds. That's usually banks, the Fed, and exchanges where we place trades. But in the decentralized landscape, trust is actually not required. Now, this doesn't mean that things can't ever go sideways in a trustless system, because they can, but not in the traditional ways. See, in the trustless system, we don't need to rely on things like the Fed to uphold the value of the dollar or worry about runs on banks and financial institutions. We don't need to worry about companies that are too big to fail messing with the financial landscape. And one recent example that really illustrates how how this concept could save the day is the Wall Street Bets short squeeze of GameStop. And for those that don't know, essentially what happened was a Reddit subforum really galvanized retail investors to squeeze the large number of short positions on the GameStop stock, which caused the price to soar. But just when Wall Street Bets thought that they had done the impossible, Robinhood, which was the preferred trading platform of this group, began to suspend trades on GameStop. So imagine for a moment you spend time, money, and research executing an investment thesis only to find that at the exact moment that your plan comes to fruition, you're no longer able to cash in because your trading platform has issued a historically unprecedented freeze on trades. This is a variant of a rug pull. You would probably call into question the entire system, wondering if it's rigged against you. It would destroy the credibility of these trading platforms in your eyes, and you'd probably leave. If this scenario played out on a decentralized platform, unlike Robinhood, then it would have been more fair for all parties involved. These sort of decisions that enable users to get rug pulled are not possible on decentralized platforms, because no matter where the markets go or what the price does, there's no single governing body that can impose their will on the situation. Take, for instance, the common Uniswap protocol. This market maker is comprised of Solidity code that lives on the blockchain. Therefore, it should just always work despite prices or other anomalies. So the big squeeze really demonstrated where decentralized financial systems could shine. And to me, this seems like a better financial system because, in effect, it removes the risk that's introduced by centralized services that could hamper those mad gains. Okay, so only time will tell if this video ages well, but in the meantime, I would urge you to go deeper on crypto to get a more meaningful understanding, and one way to do that would be to watch my video of how to mint, sell, and transfer NFTs. Until next time.